Hello and how are you doing? Welcome to Youth Split by Pefasio Kimau Youth Online. How are you doing? And thank you guys for the continued support for our new series, Youth and Money. We've received your feedback and your support is overwhelming. And please continue watching this show. And this is the best show yet. And this episode specifically is the best episode yet. Today, we have a very special guest with us, Mrs. Mary Munyere. Hi, how are you doing?
I'm doing quite well.
Yes.
Shomi, thank you for having me here.
Yes, thank you. It's a big honor that you've even created time for us and you've welcomed us in your office. So thank you. And before we begin the topic of our day, please tell us who is Mrs. Mary Munyere.
Mrs. Mary Munyere is a born-again Christian
Yes.
who gave her life to Christ when she was a young girl and has continued to see the goodness of the Lord. She is also a mentor and an executive leadership coach, certified. So those are some of the things I do. I also lead a company in the name of Ecclov Kenya. So I am also a financial advisor.
Yes, and thank you so much for having us. The topic of the day, it's good debts, bad debts. We want to understand what debts are. And just to start off, do you think that they are good debts and what are they like?
Yes, they are good debts.
Mm-hmm.
And the good debts are that which are meant for generation of much more money.
Yes.
Where you get a debt and is directed to ventures or that you are going to generate much more money.
Yeah.
So even the money that is generated becomes more than the debt itself.
Yeah.
So those are categories of good debts.
Yes.
Yeah.
What does it look practically that I have this debt? How practical is that this is a good debt that I am having?
The good debt, it is when you employ it, when
Yes.
you put it into to work,
Mm-hmm.
you find it giving much more money,
Mm-hmm.
and you can continue to plow it back.
Yeah.
And the money that is generating, you can continue to plow it back.
Yes.
For example, you can want to say, I want to start an income generating activity.
Yes.
And it could be that you have saved money that is not enough for what it is that you want to do. Or it could be that income generating activity you have already started with your own money, your own saving.
Yes.
And it reaches a level where you feel that the income generating activity is growing.
Yeah.
And is needing to be boosted.
Yes.
And you already have customers and
Yeah.
they have needs that you have not been able to satisfy.
Yes.
Because the way your income generating activity is generating money is needing to be boosted.
Yes.
So one can decide that I want to look for debt so that I can be able to increase the production in my income generating activity, because I have needs that are not being able to meet.
Yeah.
So one can decide, maybe you look for the sources of the debt. And there are very many sources of debt.
Yeah, true.
In this country and outside the country, we have very many sources of debt.
Mm-hmm.
It can be that you can ask your friend to give you a debt.
Yeah.
And a friend can accept to give you a debt if they have money that they have with them that they are not spending at the moment of time. They are not using for, maybe they have saved that money, they are not using at that moment of time. They can give you. And you can also agree on the term. The friends can tell you, I'll give you, and that money I want to add a margin. And they can, of course, an interest of some sort.
Yes.
Because a debt should be a debt because it should also be able to generate its own money as well.
True.
So you can get a debt from a friend.
Yes.
You can also get a debt from family members who have some money which they have spared and they are not using at that moment of time. So they can give you a debt to be able to boost your income generating activity.
Yeah.
You can also, but that the debt you can get from informal informal forms of money, informal sources. And the informal sources can be, maybe you have a merry-go-round in a group where
Yeah.
you have merry-go-rounds. You could also have a welfare scheme where it is that you can be able to get that money. You can also be able to get, for informal sources, you can also go and get from Shyrox.
Yeah.
And Shyrox, they are those people who give money to people and then you return with a short duration of time, but they also charge the money exorbitantly.
Yeah.
The interest rate is very high.
Yeah.
Those are some of the informal sources. You could also get from formal sources.
Yeah.
The formal sources could be that you have a circle. You have been able to join a circle, and the circle, you've been contributing money, and the circle is able to give you money, and you can go and get money from there.
Yeah.
You can also get from other small institutions like microfinance institutions. They are
Yes.
also formal.
Yes. Yes.
You could be able to can approach such sources and be able to give information of what you're doing and demonstrate ability to be able to repay that debt, and you can get financing or the debt from there.
Yeah.
You could also get from the bank.
Yes.
Right
Yes.
now, banks are very accessible. You can be able to go to the bank and be able to demonstrate that you can be able to repay the money, and your income generating activity can be able to pay that money, and you demonstrate that it's generating, it's selling. The sales are able to repay that debt. They can be able to and bring a proposal. You also be able to present a proposal to the banks,
Yes.
and they can be able to give you financing. So
Yes.
financing or debt is all over.
Yes. Yes.
Monies are all over. If you can just demonstrate that you can be able to repay the money,
Yes.
you can be able to get such financing.
Yes.
And that's what it is, that it's called good debt. Debt that you're putting into an activity
Yeah.
that will generate much more money.
The activity is already generating money, so it's a sort of a boost. That's what you're saying.
Yes, it can be a boost.
Yes.
I would also want to let you know that from many sources, apart maybe from friends or family, that you give a story to say that I want to start this and this,
Yeah.
and this and this can be able to give me money. I want to start this business. I want to call them income generating activities because they can be of various forms.
Yes. Yes.
Most people, apart from family members and friends, they usually would want to finance an income generating activities that has already started. Not many people want to do startups that are not existing.
Yes.
Because you see, most of the time, many income generating activities do not they are not able to sustain themselves to a certain duration of time.
Yeah.
So because the various providers of financial services, they are aware of that, they want you to go to them when it is that you're talking about boosting an income generating activity.
Yes.
It's already tested, and
Yes.
the owner of this income generating activity is aware that these income generating activities is supposed to, it will be able to sustain itself.
Yeah.
It's only needing boosting for expansion and growth.
Yeah.
Growth and expansion.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
That's a very good perspective of a good debt. I've never thought of it that way. So thank you. And now I needed us to have that balance of knowing that there is a good debt. Now we get to bad debt. What is a bad debt?
Wow, that's a very good question,
Yes.
because most people have what we call propensity to spend.
Yes.
And because of that, they think about how I can get the debt
Yeah.
so that I can be able to spend to gratify some needs, some desires.
Yes.
So because of that, you can find some people who go looking for financing because they want to maybe spend on things like maybe crude things. There are some people who I usually surprises me that the first time they get the debt, and they could also be able to be borrowing this debt because so that they can be able to use this debt on an income generating activity.
Yeah.
But they're not disciplined enough. The first time when they get the debt, they want to first of all consider things which are non-generating, that will not generate much. They will not generate finance or value.
Yes.
I would say they're not financial value.
Yes.
And because of that, you can find them people spending on things like clothing. Somebody fighting.
Yeah.
For a long time, I haven't been able to buy new clothes. And as a result, you can find somebody using sizable amount of money to be able to buy clothes, and it's debt money. Others, they can also, and because they want to, what they want to do is that they want to impress. Some of the time, some of us have a challenge on wanting to impress other people.
Yes. Yes.
And because of that, we will use the money we use for maybe clothing so that it may look presentable. People look at us and think we are looking very nice or
It's
presentable.
keeping an image.
It's keeping an image.
Yeah.
And because of that, you find people using the money that they have borrowed, which they have to repay.
Yes.
And put it in something that will not enable them to be able to pay that now clothing.
Yeah.
They can also be able to borrow debt and be able to start going to rent places for people who are still in rental houses. They borrow to be able to pay their rental, their rents.
Yes. Yes.
So because they also want to create an image, they're living beyond what it is they can be able to sustain. Their life they cannot be able to sustain. And because of that, they are finding themselves not being able to meet some of these wants, because I don't know how to call them needs, they are wants, because there's a difference between wants and needs.
Yes, yes.
So you find they want to live in good looking houses for rental, and they are very expensive. They find themselves doing that.
Yeah.
You want to put an image which you're not.
Yeah.
You are living beyond what it is that you're financing. The finance that you're generating can be able to sustain. And because of that, you find yourself with the wants that are needing to be taken care of. They are gratifying some needs, some wants. I'm not even calling them needs.
Yes.
That shouldn't even be. They're not necessity. They're not necessity of life.
Yeah.
So that is a bad debt. A debt, and also a debt that can be, you can a debt that is it's for anything that is consumption, that anything that is not appreciating in value.
Yes, yes.
Do you know even a debt like somebody getting a debt to buy something like a motor vehicle is also, if it's for consumption, it's also not a very good debt.
Yeah.
Only if the motor vehicle you are buying is to enhance your movement and efficiency.
Yes.
And if it causes you to be effective and efficient,
yes,
and it's causing and being able to contribute to what that generate income for you, then you can be able also to count that as a necessity, and it should maybe you can borrow debt to be able to finance such an asset.
Yeah.
Because if it's just for luxury and leisure,
yes,
that should not be a good debt. It's a bad debt.
Yeah.
But if for being able to enhance your movement and it is contributing to what that generate income, that is very different.
Yeah.
So there are very many things for consumption. Anything that is not giving back, that is a bad debt.
So the question should be: is it necessary?
Yes.
Is it necessary for me to take this money, do this and this? And let me ask, do you think people calculate the cost of their debts?
Sometimes people do, other times not. Sometimes people do, and they realize it will be very expensive for them.
Yeah.
But then the desire to own whatever it is they are looking for pushes them to even take very expensive debt sometimes.
Yes.
Go ahead. Sometimes go ahead and take that debt. Other times is that they have not considered the cost.
No, for the bad debt, they don't calculate like the interest rates. Like, for example, what you said on the Shylocks, their interest rates are high. So if I'm taking this debt that I haven't considered the interest, I haven't considered the total cost, and I'm just gratifying, then that should be a problem.
Yeah, it is a problem, but I sometimes people know it is expensive.
Yes.
They would know it is expensive. They have even considered all that, but the desire within them, the desire to gratify that need, want that is within them, drives them.
Yeah.
It causes them to become indisciplined, not even indisciplined. The nubs their ability to reason. So they go ahead, even though they know that that debt can be very expensive. Sometimes even some people may not even be very certain how they are going to repay that money.
Yeah.
And so most of the time, if you some sources do not even very careful, they are not very careful how it is that you repay the money, especially if you are talking of those informal for sources like
Yes.
now what I say, the Shyrock and all that.
Yeah.
They usually may not look into whether you're able, because you also, they will also not give you free of charge, because they will also, you've got to pledge some assets.
Yes.
Sometimes you may take your phone, you may take anything for them to hold on it, such that when it is that you repay that money, they return your asset.
Yeah.
You call it a security. They hold on it. If you're not paying, they
Yeah.
will also sell your security.
Yeah.
So it can be double loss.
Yes.
So you could have considered the expense of the loan, but you have desire within yourself that you feel like you want to fulfill. Others, that's a category of people.
Yeah.
Then others, they have not considered the whole cost
Yes.
of that loan, that debt. Because even having to have the security being held by somebody else, it's also cost.
Yes,
If you
it is.
calculated that you have somebody to hold a security, an asset you're owning, and you shift it to somebody to hold until you pay the debt,
Yeah.
it's also a cost.
Yeah.
They have some of the people may have considered all that, but they have the propensity to spend is so pushing.
Yeah.
That they may, at any cost, they want to really get the debt. Others may have may not have not brought themselves to a state of being able to do that calculation.
Yes, so
Yeah.
I think it's then understanding the value of money, because I think I was in high school and I realized like okoa jahazi, and you okoa 10 bob, but they will give you 9 bob. The 1 bob used to pain me so much. I'd rather now work toward getting the 10 bob, my own, rather than getting this borrowed airtime that I'll get 1 bob less and I'll still have to pay the full amount. So there is this lack of knowing the value of the money. Because I think if you know the value of the money, accepting a value of, even if it's that 1 shilling, then you're going to respect the money if you know the value.
I think, Shelby, you are among the few. Because most people have the gratification pushes them, coerces them to want to, not even looking at the shilling you're talking about. It according to some, may not look very variable.
Yeah.
So I would say that you could be among the few, Shelby.
Yes.
That you can consider that you need your whole 10,
Yeah.
no deduction of a 9. Most people do not look at it like that way.
Yes.
Yeah.
And now that will bring us to the vicious cycle of poverty. I know you've talked about it a lot of times. Just touch on it so people can understand that cycle of debts and borrowing, how it goes.
The vicious circle of poverty is where you find yourself that you will not move from that circle.
Yeah.
Because it causes us to, it comes about because we have this desire to spend than desire to either save or invest. So we find ourselves with too little money. You save too little money, and because of the saving of too little money, there is a lot of. First of all, we start by high consumption. There is a high consumption, and as a result of high consumption, the money for saving is too little.
Yes.
And because of the money to save is too little, you have little money to invest. And because of very little money to invest, even for money for production is also very little. You put into production very little money to be able to do production. And because of that, then we go back to the high consumption. It could be all what that you have been able to produce, you have also
Yeah.
consumed.
Yes.
And the cycle continues, that you will not find yourself where you break even to say that I have now reached a point where I have really been able to save. And because of that, I will do huge investment.
Yes.
And because of the huge investment, they'll bring me to a state where I'll be stable as far as financial resources, financial study point is concerned. But you always find yourself in the cycle of poverty.
Yeah.
You will not come out of this cycle of poverty.
Yeah.
But this is the cycle of poverty is self-damaging, because it's one can make decision and say, have started from point A, I need to come out of this cycle, and it's easy to be able to do that.
Yeah.
But in discipline or inability to have self-talk, to say, I'm not. If it's myself, Mary, you need to know that you will not live beyond what you can be able to generate.
Yeah.
And what you generate, you don't have to use the whole of it. You need to be proud back. You continue being in that cycle of poverty.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the first time I had it, when you were teaching the youth, I got so scared about that cycle and the probability of it even getting even to the next generation and to the next. And something that I've been learning from the 3 episodes that we've done on youth and money is about money is more of a discipline, it's a mindset, it's an internal decision first before even having the cash itself. I think that's a good learning point that we should take in on money, and it's the discipline and wanting to progress. There should be a want of progression for us to move. So let's go to the strategies of getting out of debt.
Okay, the strategy of getting out of debt, first of all, is starting by what you have said.
Yeah.
Realizing that if one has not discipline, realizing that you have no discipline of spending. And because of that, now you tell yourself, have self-talk to tell yourself, I know I'm not very good in spending, and I want from now on to know that and be able to ask myself how will come out of that. Now, first of all is committing yourself to, if you have an amount of money, or the strategy of coming out of debt. With you have an amount of money, you tell yourself, I am first of all going to save this amount of money. First of all, you start by saving, because if you have not discipline also of saving, you'll find yourself most of the time you have no money with yourself, because everything you have spent. No, you first of all tell yourself, I will have goals as far as saving is concerned. You commit yourself to goals.
Yes.
And I want to also say that why it is you find yourself with issues is that we also operate without a plan, without a goal. And it is said that whoever doesn't know where it is that he is going, any road takes you where there.
Anywhere, yeah.
Any road takes you, any road, it takes you where there.
Yeah.
Because you have know where you are going.
Yes.
So now, if you have no plan, then anything is takes you there. So first of all, you've got to, coming out of debt, you've got to have a plan of saving as well.
Yes.
So that you may reach a level of saying, I think now I even don't need debt. I need to utilize the money I have. And if you cannot be able to save 10% of every money that is at your hand, however little it is, however much it is, then know that you will never come out of debt. And it also it takes discipline to be able to do that.
Yeah.
It's about even saving money in where you cannot be able to reach. If you save money in a place where you when you feel the desire to spend, you can reach very quickly, then it means that that's not even a saving, that a good saving, or even not a good way of coming out of the debt. The little you have, you need to save it far where you cannot be able to reach. The other thing is asking yourself, do I need this debt? Any debt that is not for value addition, it's not for being able to be employed so that they can be able to generate more. know that you don't need it.
Yes.
That's one of the way of coming out of debt. Don't need it.
Yeah.
Bring yourself to a state of saying, I do not have to have that debt within me. So that is a strategy of coming out of debt.
Yes.
Then the other one is also giving a time frame and saying, I have this amount of debt and I will have this time frame to be able to come out of this debt. And every time you go evaluating yourself, how far am I as far as the terms and I gave myself, or the time frame I gave myself to have come out of this debt, how far am I?
Yes.
If you think you're not very far, you also revise to say, because you also not need beat yourself very far. You revise to say, let me revise this, and if you keep yourself check,
Yes.
and become a little bit tougher on yourself.
Yeah.
And then you tell yourself, you also the gratification within yourself, you silence it within yourself.
Yes.
And tell yourself, I'm going to punish you. You gratification. I'm not going to gratify you at this point in time because I cannot die.
Yeah.
The only thing I can do, I may be a little sad that I'm not being able to gratify you,
Yes.
but I'll silence you.
Yes. Yes.
And then you move along. And then you also go celebrating. When it is that you move from one step of coming out of debt, you celebrate.
Yes.
Because it's also good because you get a motivation to be able to move on. And if you move on to the other step, you also celebrate.
Yes.
So you have celebrate small milestones.
Yes.
So that you are getting to see that you're still moving towards the debt. And then you also keep yourself. And also debt out strategy. Another strategy to come out of debt is that every debt is pegged to something.
Okay.
Not for gratification.
Yes.
It's pegged to something that is income generating. If you have a debt, you also count to say, I have no extra. This debt is 100% meant for this.
Yes.
So now, when the debt comes to your heart, 100%, you direct it wherever it should be directed.
Yes.
And then you start being able to that activity that you have directed the debt, it start now generating. And after it is generating, you start paying your debt in tranches, or you start paying in installments.
Yes.
So that you give yourself a time frame. By this time frame, I will have already been able to have finished with this debt.
Yes.
Then another thing, don't heap a debt over another one. Make sure that you have been able to clear all your debt.
Yes.
And do not heap a debt over another one.
Yeah.
I work with the places where we give debts.
Yeah.
And I have come to see people who will never be out of a debt.
Yeah.
Throughout the time I knew him, they are always in debt. Why?
Yeah.
They do not even finish their one debt. They go to the level where we call refinancing or topping up. So they they pay to a certain level. They come back and say, I want you to top up. And they give you stories why it is they want you to top up.
Yes.
You've got to know that the financial sources are selling money.
Yes.
They will always sell money to you.
Yeah.
So long as you're also paying the interest that is required and fulfilling all the conditions that are required. They'll continue giving you debt. They are selling money.
Yes.
So you are the one who will continue in the cycle of debts without even having some breather, and you find yourself not even being able to take a stock and telling yourself, are you financially able?
Yes.
Because if you're not careful, you can live on people's money.
Yeah.
And sometimes not very good debt. Then there is this other thing where we also have the debt is, for example, for the mobile debt. You tell yourself that's not necessary. Even the amount of money that you borrow from them is very little.
Yes.
You will tell yourself, I will not take that debt.
Yeah.
Right now, so many people are in those debts that if you want to send money to somebody, I don't send me. I have Furisa. I have this one. It will be sorrowed. Things like those ones.
Yeah.
And you want to establish, what did you do with your debt?
Yeah.
They cannot exactly tell you what they did with the debt.
They can't account
so
for
you
that.
Bring yourself to a state of saying, those things which are not necessary debts, especially the mobile debt, you don't borrow them.
Yeah.
You don't borrow. That's also a way. And bring yourself to saying that I will not die because I have not borrowed.
Yeah.
I will be disciplined and punish yourself a little, just a little.
Yeah.
And find yourself, you will come out of such debts. And then another strategy of having to deal with that is saying, I am myself.
Yes.
I'm not so and so.
Yeah.
I am not creating an image, because an image does not bring me anywhere.
Yeah.
If the image does not generate my financial resource or any other resource, I
Yes.
don't
Yes.
need it.
Yes.
So I want to be authentic, be your real self, so that you do not have to impress anyone.
Yeah.
And sometimes we think young people are the only ones who you want to impress anyone. But even at a very old age, we still have various forms of wanting to impress.
Yeah.
It could be clothing. It could be the area where I stay.
Yeah.
Could be the way I stay. It could be the things the way I furnish my house.
Yes.
I need to live everyone need to be their authentic self. You don't have to be anyone. You don't have to impress anyone.
Yes.
By the end of the day, if you have debts, no one who comes to help you. They just find you struggling.
Yeah.
You find yourself getting yourself into stress. And then they can be alone, and they can be sleeping soundly, whoever you want to impress.
Yeah.
So I think it's needful for us. And that's how you can come out of debt, I think.
Yeah. Thank you so much. And can I ask this? If, let's say, I have a loan of like 100,000, I decide to pay off like 2,000 per. Should I wait till I have like large amounts, or is the 2,000 amount that I will be giving, is it enough? The question is it will it help to subsidize the loan?
You are talking about, if I understand, you're talking about if you have a sizable amount of money you have borrowed, and then you have small monies that you're using to repay that loan.
Yes.
I would say, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
Even small monies, they will continue reducing your sizes of loan, and you can even be able to repay as frequently as possible. Sometimes you don't have to wait until, if it's a monthly installment, that the month has to come to an end so that you can be able to repay your money. You can also say, I'll break it into small chunks, and I'll be paying in small installments even before the month comes to an end.
Yeah.
If that money you think you're going to consume it, but you can also say, I will not pay the loan with the 2,000 because I can also employ it and generate much more. But if you're going to consume it, it's good for you to reduce the amount of loan that you have, so that you continue reducing that money slowly by slowly. But I also want to believe you'll have entered into to an agreement, whoever has the source, where the source of the money, you tell you terms and conditions as far as that loan is concerned. The way you're going to pay, even installments, the installments you're supposed to pay, because they will have been able to gauge your gauge ability to pay. You would have demonstrated.
Yes.
I can tell you, for if you're not careful, you can also have issues, because if you also don't continue repaying your loan, if you borrow, it continue accumulating interests and penalties. Many sources which I'm aware of, they can be formal, they can be informal. They also have what you call interest and penalties. Not only interest, it's also penalties because of maybe missing installments. So you can find you have borrowed 100,000. If you're not paying it, at a time it grows to become 120 and continues. And that's why we find people saying, I have a debt I cannot even be able to clear. And then if you had pledged asset, the asset that you had pledged is disposed, it's paid off. If it's not paid off, they also come and be able to get some other things that that you had not also pledged, because you've got to clear your loan. Or you jeopardize. If you had guarantors, you also jeopardize your relationship with guarantors, because the finance provider will also go to the guarantors to be able to have the loan repaid, because they cannot forgive you the loan. Not
No,
many
they
times
can't.
they'll forgive you the loan. It's their stock. If they go for giving loans, they're also depleting their stock.
And what of this aspect where I can afford more? I have this installment that I'm supposed to pay, but I can afford more. Should I pay more or just give that minimum? Is it advisable to give that more, just the minimum amount?
Okay, it depends. If you have more, and like I said, is that, and you feel that this money will be staying idle, you are not going to employ it to generate much more.
Yes.
It's good to reduce, because you see, you do not know what you do not know what how tomorrow will turn out. It could be
Yes,
that tomorrow you will have a challenge. You may not have them even the money, the amount, a full installment to be able to pay your loan.
Yeah.
But if you'll have what we say prepaid, you
Yes,
could
yes.
also tell yourself, I will have prepaid with maybe 2 installments or 3 installments.
Yeah.
So when sometimes you may not have a full installment or completely not, you have not, you may have maybe half of installment or whichever percent of installment,
Yeah.
or you completely don't have an installment to pay.
Yeah.
You have already prepaid. So you are
Okay.
still in good terms with the sources of finance.
Yeah.
And if you also post like a good debt, a good customer as far as debt, paying debt is concerned, you create what we call the credit worthiness.
Yeah.
The debt sources are also really looking to see, they want to have you as their customer.
Yes.
Because you post that you're a good customer because of the way you repaid your loan. You're also enhancing your image in the debt market.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So anything that you wanted to say and you haven't said yet?
I think let's be careful to live within our means.
Yeah.
Because most of the times why is it the debt becomes bad? Whether you can categorize whether the debt is bad or it's good, it's the way sometimes some people don't live within their mean.
Yeah.
And not some people, most people, if they're not careful, human being has, like I said in the beginning, when I was starting, have propensity to spend. They want to post. Human being want to post like, I am like this, and they're not. I can live here in the neighborhood that you should not even be.
Yeah.
Because even your income does not allow you to live in that neighborhood. I can live with this house, this size of house if it's a rental. Your financial resource haven't allowed you. I can dress this. I can go to buy these kinds of clothes and shoes and all those stories. And you could be your financial resources have not allowed you to do that. And now that is living beyond your mean. And it's very stressful. People have not realized that living beyond your mean is extremely stressful. You can appear like you're okay outside, but you're dying inside.
Yes.
And again, ask yourself, do you live to consume? You don't live to consume. We
Yes.
live to build legacy. Those are the people even when they live this world, they're not even remembered because they had no legacy.
Yeah.
Because they never created anything that can be remembered. They lived to consume.
Yeah.
And those are the people, as they progress in age and they grow, they also become burden to other people because they do not be able to keep to be able to organize themselves in a way that even as they grow, they continue aging, they'll be able to take care of themselves.
Yes.
So they become angry with the people.
Yeah.
With people, they feel like people have left them out,
Yeah.
have not taken care of them. All those stories.
Yes.
So
Yes.
living within our mean is extremely important, and
Yes.
that we can only be able to do that if you're comfortable with yourself. You are comfortable. You're not suffering from any low self-esteem.
Yes. Yes.
You are comfortable with yourself. You have your authentic self. But if you want to impress anyone,
Yeah.
and I don't know why people would want to impress others, you would want to live beyond your means.
Yeah.
Yes. And I'm thinking the company people keep is very important because either the company you keep builds you or destroys you.
Yeah.
You could also be a loner, that you're not even living in anyone. So you do not learn from anyone. You're not teachable.
Yeah.
So I think it's also needing good to know that God kept us with other people,
Yeah.
so that we can also listen to them, learn from them,
Yeah.
and learn the good thing,
Yes.
leave the bad thing.
Yes.
So
Yes.
I think that's what I can say.
Yeah.
Be comfortable with yourself. If
Yeah.
one is comfortable with themselves, they will not fight themselves with struggles with money.
Yeah.
Yes.
Totally. That is so good. And thank you so much for squeezing in time for us for the youth split. Thank you so much. That's it for today's show. I hope it was enlightening, and until make sure you subscribe, share this video, and also comment and let us know your response to today's show. Until next week, bye.